Well guys, I had to make this video even if I am not in this Rumble specs pre-production unit cameras that are not actually available in the stores right now. On one side we have the announced Canon officially EOS R5. On the other side we have the unofficially specs rumors for the new Sony A7S III. I wanted to share my thoughts and things to consider on both cameras and which one should you go and which one would be perfect for your type of shooting, actually translated from my style of shooting. The big new issue for the Canon EOS R5 is the new official spec release sheet from Canon USA with the overheating time limits, where you can also find the guide on how to reduce your heat buildup on the EOS R5, with the latest statement that using an external fan to dissipate heat will help you out with your production. It's straight on the official release specs. The Sony A7S III rumors at the time of filming from today don't have any actual overheating problems and actual specs that the camera will overheat in any recording type. The other thing from the Canon EOS R5 is that it can record 8K RAW internally up to 30p, but it will build up a lot of heat, and actually the time recording limit is just 20 minutes at 23 Celsius. In the other way, Sony looks like it will have only 4K 120 in 10-bit 422, with also RAW output over HDMI without any recording limit. So these are the banger specs. Overheating with max recording limit at 23 Celsius 8K RAW. In the other hand, Sony 4K 120 422 RAW output without recording limit. And let me tell you my story for the 8K shooting options. The cost of the actual manipulation with the footage and actual post-editing will be much more higher than the actual price of the Canon EOS R5. The Canon CF Express cards aren't cheap, and for 512 gigs of cards you will have to pay up to $600. On the other hand, you will actually have to get a lot of faster SSD cards if you want to edit on the move, or some RAID servers to edit the footage from. If you have a project shoot for a couple of days, you could end up with an unimaginable amount of footage and you are not prepared for 8K and actual storage of that footage. Even your editing machine could end up having big problems editing and processing all that 8K raw footage that could you end up actually not be able to edit the footage that you shot. So getting just a camera that will shoot 8K will get you nowhere. So let's scale down the resolution to meet the Sony A7 III rumors: 120 frames per second 4K 10-bit 422, just like the EOS R5 is capable of. The overheating threshold for the EOS R5 in 120 frames per second is just 15 minutes. As it looks from the rumors, the Sony A7S III doesn't have any recording limits in any of the resolution that you are shooting. Well, in this field I would never shoot more than 2 to 3 minutes for a take for that banger B-roll slow motion move. And this is kind of fine if you get it on the first take. The problem starts if you are trying to actually get some repeated slow motion shots lasting each 1 to 2 minutes in a row, and you actually have to repeat them and you end up having 4 to 6 takes for that shot. The cameras were stored in our bags in our cars. At a summer day, well, they could heat up when taken out of the bag at around 35 to 40 degrees for the body temperature of the camera. The cameras will be in some kind of direct or indirect sunlight conditions for the shoot. On one side we have the A7S III without the recording limit, and actually in that sun it might heat up and actually give some problems, but we are confident enough it doesn't have a recording limit and it should not heat up. In the other side we have the Canon EOS R5 with the body temperature of 35 Celsius. So let's do the math. 4K 120, 50 minutes, 23 Celsius recording. If we kind of scale down or scale up to about 33 degrees, we'll actually get half of that. So with the Canon EOS R5, we are getting just around 7 minutes of recording. And what if we have to repeat the scene 4 to 5 times and each scene just lasts about 1 to 2 minutes? Will all the stuff and actor take a break until my camera just slows down and actually relieve itself from the heat and get back to the shoot? We will be actually able to take another shoot without overheating. Wedding scene, filming for 30 minutes with the outside temperature also 33 to 35 degrees. We have always some direct sunlight hits on the camera. 4K, high quality, 30 minutes. Scaling up to the 33 Celsius degrees, we could end up just with 15 minutes of 4K high quality recording. And then tell what? We have to stop the wedding, the reception or the speech so our cameras cool down. Or maybe shut down the whole wedding dance floor and get a break. I mostly film weddings in 4K and actually export them and deliver them in 4K. Let's get to another field where you would want 8K. YouTube. For that banger 8K crisp BTS shots of your review or actually filming yourself completely in 8K while talking. What if your studio doesn't have aircon and actually when you build up your light setup, you could end up having a heat of up to 30 Celsius. So you could end up from 8K 20 minutes to 8K 10 minutes recording limit before the overheating issue. So what do? You rumble around for 10 minutes straight to overspeed the overheating threshold. And actually I'm surprised. Canon is really known for not having overheating problems in any of their mirrorless or DSLR cameras. And in the other hand, Sony is known for having overheating problems with their mirrorless cameras, even if I didn't have actually never any overheating problems on my Sony A7 III or on my Sony A6400. They were always working just fine without any overheating issues. We are not talking here about other specs if the main banger spec doesn't meet any of my needs. Yes, the Canon EOS R5 might have a better in-body image stabilization with the combined lens for an 8-stop stabilization. We are just talking here about a key feature. I want to record without any limitations and actually without looking on my stopwatch and getting numbers right to get a shot. Sony main thing now it's just to make a camera that doesn't overheat, and a lot of people would rather go for the A7S III rather than the EOS R5, even if the EOS R5 can give you 8K. I know that I could ramble around for other specs like the Sony new sensor stated 12 megapixels with the big low light sensor capability, or the 45 megapixels from the EOS R5, or actually some other things like battery life and lenses for that mount. So for me, the key feature is to have a reliable camera that will not overheat. Well, yes, sure, Peter McKinnon in Canada could end up shooting way much more longer than the stated recording limit, because they were shooting at around 15 to 70 Celsius. And at my place in summer it's around 30 to 33 Celsius. And that's a big difference. I will be much more fine if you give me 10-bit up to 120 raw output with 10-bit log, that having an option with 8K and then having all that limitations. What do you think, guys? Waiting for the A7S III release or getting the EOS R5 with the recording limits and heat problems? Comment section down below. Until my next time, thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe with the bell ring icon to get notified every time I make a new video, and see you on my next one.